As we all know, there's different types of drunks. Happy drunks, angry drunks, moody drunks, and even quiet drunks. I am somehow all of these at the exact same time, except for maybe the quiet one. Despite what type of drunk you are, at some point we've all made some purchases while underneath the influence of the devil's elixir that we never would have made had we had been sober. Take this shirt for example. I bought it while drunk. I completely forgot I did, and then it showed up 2 weeks later. The tri-blend. It's really soft. But little purchases like this are no harm. I'm here to talk about big purchases that result in a phone call from the bank. Talking about this little fur bag right here. If you're familiar at all with my channel lore, then you'll know that this is Muffin. He's a Pembroke Welsh Corgi, the dog that rates an S tier on the dog butts tier list. I've noticed there's a mass fascination with Corgi butts in our society. Everybody says it's because of how fluffy they are. My theory is that it's because you can't see the anus because of all the fluff that's covering it up. It'd be like if you could stare into the sun without it burning your eyes. So how did I end up with a dog after a night of drinking? Rewind the clock to over a year ago. I was talking about drinks with my friend Trent, who you know as Workable Director.
F*** you.
He recommended me a drink called Rumplemints. And if you don't know what that is, it's peppermint schnapps with 50% alcohol content, which is 10% above most liquors. And this was early into my drinking days, and I did not have the alcohol tolerance I have now. Also, I tend to have an issue of not pacing myself or keeping track of how much I'm drinking once I start. You can see where this is going. Fast forward to later that night. I was playing games with Trent and some other friends, and I was not keeping track of how much I was drinking. I'm just taking shot after shot. This went on for about 2 to 3 hours, and then I stood up to go pee. That's when it hit me that I had made a terrible mistake. I glanced over and I noticed I had drinking over half the bottle. I could barely stand up. I had to break dance into the bathroom so I wouldn't fall over. My perception of time had gone out the window because when I was in there, I was sitting down hunched over the toilet doing breathing exercises for what I thought was about 30 seconds. That's when my roommate yells, "Hey man, are you good? You've been doing that for 15 minutes now." That's when I realized I had bit off more than I could chew. I finished what I had to do in there, and then I dolphin dived out of the bathroom and onto my bed, and I crashed harder than I ever have before. My friends never saw me again that night. Now you're expecting me to say I woke up the next day and I had a dog all of a sudden. No, I wish that happened. That would have been a lot cooler. I drank so much that night that I was still drunk when I woke up the next day. When I woke up that next day, I only had 2 things on my mind. Man, my head hurts, I'm spinning, and whew, I want a dog. And not just any dog, I wanted one of the funny stubby dogs I saw in that cartoon one time. This isn't the first time I've been influenced by cartoons to buy something. I learned to play trumpet just because of that alligator from Princess and the Frog. And I didn't even watch the movie, I just saw the trailer and I thought it looked cool. I somehow convinced my roommate to drive me down to the pet store. I remember getting carsick on the way down there and just looking over at my roommate and going,
"Dad, if I stick my head out the window and start throwing up, I want you to keep going, don't stop."
As soon as we stepped into that pet store and I caught eyes with this Corgi, I remember audibly moaning out loud,
"I don't care how much it is, I'm gonna buy it."
I took a video of Muffin untying my shoes and I sent it to Trent asking if I should buy her. All he sent back was this photo. That means yes, and I always listen to Trent for financial decisions. The only reason I could even afford her at the time was because we had just gotten our COVID relief checks from the government. I'm just glad the shop already named her Muffin because knowing drunk me, I would have just called her something dumb like Stank Tank the Notorious. Try fitting that on a dog tag. I remember bringing her home and thinking, wow, this is the coolest thing ever, and oh god, it's gonna pee all over my floor. You know how in a horror movie where you're expecting something scary to happen, you're just sitting there all tensed up in your chair, just waiting for something to jump out at you? Yeah, that was me just waiting in anticipation for her to eventually pee on my floor when I wasn't looking. And that she did. Within a week, I bought a carpet cleaner. It got that bad. As someone who hadn't had a pet in forever, Harvey doesn't count. Harvey's more of a display piece than a pet. As someone who hadn't had a pet in forever, having this little fur ball running around my house was the coolest thing ever. Besides all the chewing, I don't think I've ever had a dog that chewed as much as Muffin has. Like, I read online that corgis chew a lot, but like, I wasn't expecting it to be that bad. I never introduced her to Harvey for obvious reasons. Yeah, I just learned to redirect all of that puppy energy towards my friend's dogs. I'm pretty sure Ace still hates me after what I made him go through in Muffin's puppy years. I think Sheldon hates me too, but I don't give a shit what Sheldon thinks. Okay, back to this being a drunk purchase. I mentioned that this was an expensive purchase. How much did Muffin set me back? $3,000. That much. I'm amazed they let me stumble in there, just buy this dog, and then stumble my way back out the door. I got drunk, and I spent $3,000 on a furry little monster. I said a furry little monster. Good job, Muffin. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Now allow me to try and climb out of the drunken hole I dug myself into. I bought Muffin at Petland. If you don't know what Petland is, it is a chain of pet stores notorious for having overpriced pooches. Thing is, though, that this was the only way I could actually get a Corgi without going through a breeder. Also, I guess Muffin's technically a purebred with papers and all that American Kennel Club crap. I guess I could technically put her up as a show dog if I wanted, but I'm not into that stuff. I just wanted a Corgi, and this was the only way to get one. You know, besides putting in a $200 application fee to a breeder who probably wouldn't even accept it. So yeah, she's an overpriced house dog. Worth a lot, but lives like garbage. She's basically like Frank Reynolds from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Now, do I regret my drunk purchase? I'm gonna go with no. It's been over a year and I still think this was a worthwhile purchase. Muffin's a piece of shit, but she's an adorable piece of shit. I did those puppy discipline classes you can do at PetSmart, and she's still a piece of shit after going through all those, but hey, at least she got a degree. She seems to like living with me as much as I'd like living with her. I've learned my lesson from all... Good job, Muffin. I've learned my lesson from all of this, though. I haven't gotten as drunk as I did that night ever since, because the last thing I need is to bring another one of these things home. Then again, Muffin, paying you off did get my credit score to go up. Hey, Muffin. How does the Sharpay sound? Remember, kids, if you're gonna drink, hide your wallet first.